Hello my friends, it is Monday, so happy new week for you. And in Estonia, in Christmas time or in December, dwarves, or I don't know how you call them in English, they're bringing little sweets to you in your Christmas socks. So I hope you have that in Western Europe and America. Well, of course you do. Have you had any sweets in your Christmas socks? Well, now we go straight to Ukraine, where I show you how the Russians are accepting December and Christmas time in the Ukrainian front lines. In this video, we see a Russian self-propelled howitzer, which has been made home by mice. You know, these engines are warm for a long time after they stand, after they're stopped. So mice like to go and have some fun, have some warmth. Everybody wants some Christmas warmth. This is how it looks like. This many mice. I mean, this is a full ratatouille right here. What is it, like 150 mice? And the guy is beating, not the mice, but he's Russian and he might be beating the mice. That's bad. Don't beat the mice. But yeah, it's a mice infestation. And unfortunately, I have to acknowledge that this is happening on both sides. Ukrainians are using the same equipment, so the engines are warm. And the mice like to make a little warm home for themselves during Christmas time. Of course, we can see how cruel the Russians are here with the mice. I don't like it, so I'm not going to show you any more of it. And just to balance things out, this is a Ukrainian generator on the front line, switched on after a long time, and boom, you can see the mice exiting the generator. So both sides have this issue, especially in the trenches, because field mice are known for looking very small and warm places, and they can get into everywhere, and they multiply like crazy by the thousands. So yeah, they're in the generator now, and when you switch it on, they want to get out, and they're getting out. In this video, my friends, you can see an evacuation happening from Ukrainian front lines. It's a Ukrainian side evacuating their own troops, and it is the worst. Let me explain. Because it is +3, +4 degrees Celsius, so it's not minus. Water freezes at 0 degrees Celsius, and I recently found out that in America, you use Fahrenheit. People don't actually know when water freezes. In Celsius, it's like 0 or 100. 100 is boiling point, 0 is freezing point. Super logical. Everybody knows. It's like common knowledge. There is no person in Europe who doesn't know this. Found out in America, people don't know. That is strange. So what is different in 3 degrees Celsius is water doesn't freeze, but it's the coldest point before freezing. That means these soldiers have the coldest possible water on them in the form of snow and moisture, and it doesn't freeze. And that is the worst feeling ever. Plus the mud. You never get dry, and your body has to give out a lot of heat for you not to get hypothermia. And you can see by the vapor coming from their mouths that it's super cold, but it's not yet freezing. In the army, these are the most miserable conditions there are ever in any place, period. And this is unfortunately both sides, the Russian and the Ukrainian trenches are like that. Super muddy, super cold. You can never get warm, you can never get dry. I just want us to acknowledge this. I am in my warm little office here. You are in your warm home or car, and these soldiers are in the trenches fighting for us, fighting for democracy and Ukrainian freedom, European freedom, and American freedom. My friends, look at this area, Krinky, the weakest Russian frontal area and the favorite position for Ukrainian drone operators. In this video, we have a Russian soldier describing what a Baba Yaga did to him. Baba Yaga is this very big drone, and I'll show it to you later. It arrived this morning, and we see a destroyed tank. Baba Yaga removed this buggy, and our Pukakna is further down. This is what it is dropping on us. So it doesn't look big on screen, but they're really heavy and really big. Actually, one of these can damage a tank enough to make it immobile, and another one could take it out. So 1 to 2 of these destroys a tank. This is how big they are. And here is another buggy, another destroyed Russian vehicle, of course, completely destroyed. Goats. This, my friends, is a Baba Yaga, and I am making a new fundraiser to buy these to the Ukrainian drone operators, and you can help me do it. Actually, I haven't launched a fundraiser campaign yet, but I will in coming weeks. I made this in my last trip to Ukraine, and if you want to keep an eye on my adventures in Ukraine, you can do it in my Instagram. The link is in the description below. I was in the Ukrainian state TV. Can you believe it? I talked about personally aiding Ukraine and Estonia helping Ukraine. If you want to watch the interview, the link is in the description below or in my Instagram. Go and check it out. Check this out, my friends. This is Estonia, or Eesti in Estonian, and we have a border with Russia, of course. And this is Narva, the easternmost Estonian city, and it's fully Russian-speaking city. And this Narva border point right here, it is the only border point going across the Narva River. And this is Ivangorod, the Russian part of the city, and this is Narva, the Estonian part of the city. And usually here is where people are going over the border. Why is this important? Well, Russians put out a new poster on their side of the city, and this is it, boom. In Russian, it says, Russian borders don't end anywhere. And it's Putin and the bear and a Russian map in the background. And where is this? Well, this here is Narva. You can see an Estonian city right here. This is the bridge. It is Narva right here. I just was here like 3 weeks ago. It is the Narva fortress. And this is Ivangorod, the Russian side. And of course, they have the tank in Ivangorod, the T-34, because it's their religion, aiming at Estonia. So this is the situation, 2 hours of driving from where I'm physically right now, the Russian border, Narva crossing point. Just to give you an illustration of what reality we Estonians live in and why we don't have any illusions about the Russians and why people in Western Europe have a hard time understanding that. Now, my friends, I'll read you a thread which is amazing. It is about Russian POWs, and altogether the SBU has stated that they have about 16,000 Russian POWs in Ukraine in prisoner camps right now. They're fed 3 times a day. They can't call their relatives because it's in the Ukrainian interest for these prisoners to call into Russia to their relatives, because it undermines Putin's power. So they are allowed to do all of these things. The thread is by Chris O'Wiki, and I'll read it to you. The Russian authorities are reportedly not telling relatives of soldiers that their men have been taken prisoner in Ukraine, leaving the relatives to find out directly from the Ukrainians or from scammers. Since August, the Russians have stopped exchanging POWs. In the case of 21-year-old Igor Minin, who went missing while fighting in Ukraine in March 2023, his family have been trying to establish his whereabouts ever since. On March 17th, a message reporting his death was posted, but soon afterwards deleted on the YAGA social network. His squad was hit by a shell, killing and wounding a number of men. Igor was said to have been injured and received treatment on the spot, but he was not evacuated. Igor's girlfriend managed to contact Ukraine's SBU in the summer, but they said they have no information on him. In September, callers claiming to be from the SBU told her that Igor was alive and in custody in Uzhgorod, awaiting trial on criminal charges. It is unclear whether the callers were really from the SBU, and they offered no proof of life for Igor. However, they did not ask for money and informed the family that they should contact the Russian Ministry of Defense to request a prisoner exchange. According to Yegor's sister Nadia, the Ukrainians sent information about Yegor to our side 4 times, but for some reason the Russian Ministry of Defense didn't react at all. They ignored it because, from August, the Russian Ministry of Defense has gotten orders from Putin not to make any prisoner exchanges, because they have possibly understood that these exchanges are much more benefiting the Ukrainians, because Russian men are not trained, they're not worth much. Ukrainian soldiers are trained, motivated, and they want to fight, so Ukraine getting back their men gives them a lot more. They are heroes at home immediately. In Russia, when they get back to Russia, they will be blamed and beaten of why did they give themselves in the first place. The Russian authorities are known for keeping relatives in the dark. Many people seeking information on the missing have contacted the Russian Ministry of Defense, local enlistment offices, regional administrations, and Putin's office, but have either been ignored or given no help. Ukraine is having to build new POW camps because the existing ones are full due to Russian freeze on exchanges. According to SBU, Ukraine is holding 16,000 Russian POWs. That is a huge amount, and of course Russia is not interested in these men because most of them were sent as biomass in the first place. They're from Finno-Ugric tribes in Russia or lesser-known oblasts, poorer areas, and Putin has no interest to get these people back into Russia because they have nothing to give to Russia. Right now, the situation for the Russians on the front line is the following, that they don't have men to fill all the frontal areas because they're pushing from Avdiivka and they are already falling back from the Krinky area, so Putin has a tough choice. Presidential elections are coming up next year, but the truth is he needs more biomass. Russia as a country has a lot of biomass. Russian army doesn't. They need that biomass, and Putin needs to deliver to the army. He needs to declare a mobilization. I predict that he will, in a hidden way, hidden mobilization. He will announce a new mobilization, a limited mobilization, and it will be incredibly unpopular as it was last time. And just to give you the reality of what's coming in Russia, we'll go back to October 2022. We'll watch a video where the Russian mobilized were just dumped on an airfield waiting for their pickup to be driven to Ukraine. And it was -5. They were given no sleeping quarters, no warmth, no food, no water, nothing. Just dumped -5 at night. They might have died of hypothermia by the morning. But it's the biomass, they don't care. Basically, we've been placed near the VDV unit in Omsk, which is in Siberia. They said, live any way you want, burn fires and sleep outside. So basically, survive. Men decided to drink as we need to warm up. Drink, they mean vodka. We have a fire, we're placing our sleeping bags. All the Norilsk guys are here burning fires. Over there, people from other cities, 500 more. The taxis are going, people are buying booze, vodka. No, this is fine. Maybe you want sausages. Anyway, we are collecting logs there at the forest nearby. Nothing else around us. You know, this is Russia in general. It's only St. Petersburg and Moscow, and the rest of the country can be summarized. We're collecting logs. There's a forest nearby. Nothing else around us. This is Russia. Anyway, anyone who will be mobilized from Norilsk, take with you warm clothes, a sleeping bag. Get one with all means. Definitely get a mat like this. Take you a gas burner and gas cylinders. No one will be checking you in airports. They won't give a shit if you take an assault rifle or something. Take food with you, since we don't know if we'll be settled into housing. They said tomorrow, but from what I've heard, the guys on the other side, they live like this for a week. So that is the situation and the Russian mobilizing capacity. And it's coming again. Because for any mobilization, higher officers are extremely necessary for the mobilization to be fast and efficient. But Russia has an immense lack of officers. They're all dead in Ukraine because they're sent to the front and they're used up. And you cannot train officers fast. You cannot fast forward this like you can in generating biomass. So if Putin decides to declare another mobilization, it will be an immense cluster F. And I will enjoy these videos. Now, my friends, I'll read you a report coming from the Russian side in Krinky area over the Dnipro, and it really outlines what is the Ukrainian tactic there. It is truly to save Ukrainian lives and to destroy as many Russian equipment as possible. And they usually do it with FPV drones, and the very same ones that I just gave to Ukrainian special forces when I was in Ukraine. If you want to find out about that, go to my Instagram, link in the description below. On Krinky, the Ohoils, meaning the Ukrainians, fly to us, like on the M4 Don highway. The swarm of drones is reminiscent of the cartoon about Winnie the Pooh. I am a cloud, cloud, cloud. I'm not a bear at all. They do not allow us to come closer or further. Their FPV is dispatched immediately, or we get shelled with a mortar. And if our mortar fires somewhere, everything from the Ukrainians flies at it. Meaning Ukrainian counter-battery fire and radars are incredibly fast and efficient. In about few minutes, 1, 2, 3 minutes, they can detect where the Russian fire is coming from and rain down hell into that physical coordinate location, because Ukrainians have the Western artillery, which is much more accurate. Their birds constantly change each other in their carousel. The noise and hum fills the whole forest. They control the roads, see people, and FPVs immediately fly into any car. The trouble is that our electronic warfare equipment either doesn't exist or they just don't care about it. There are electronic warfare suitcases. They say they are quite good if they could fill with them the whole frontal part of the houses and forest and put them on the same power supply, and in cooperation with the EV operators, turn them off so that our drones could also fly, and immediately turn them on upon return, it would be a fairy tale. Yeah, he just described the issue with the electronic warfare jammers. We gave a lot of them to Ukrainians actually when we were in Kiev. You can see it in my Instagram. These jammers create like a bubble, electronic warfare jamming signal bubble around the vehicle. We didn't give them suitcases, we came like this jam. Look, physically, it's a metal block with an antenna, it's a jammer. So it blocks any kind of signal, also the Ukrainian signals. It also blocks a friendly FPV. So the issue is, if you want to fly your own drones, you gotta switch it off, and then you're also visible to the enemy immediately. So it goes both ways. But the simple guys are being sent to assault, whilst the Ohoils or Ukrainians control the whole sky. It's a very dark situation for the Russians over the Dnipro. Interesting things are going to happen there in the new year, 2024. Mark my words. Remember, my friends, in the last video I reported about Ukrainian partisans 6,000 kilometers from Ukrainian border blowing up the Russian railway tunnel while a Russian fuel train with 40 diesel tanks was in it. They blew it up. But that wasn't it. It was a lot of confusion back then and I reported it, but now we have more information that actually they blew up another train in the same tunnel. 2 trains in the same tunnel. This tunnel is done, and it is the most important and vital train logistic link between Russia and China. And we know Russia is a country of rail logistics. They only work when they have rail logistics. And this rail link also transfers North Korean supplies to Russia, also Chinese. So it is very vital for the Russian war effort. And now this tunnel is destroyed and blown up. I'll read you the report in full so we now have clear information what really happened. And I remind you, it was 6,000 or like 3,500 miles. 6,000 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. In the evening of the same day, Russian media again reported that a train caught fire in a Severomuisk tunnel. The train caught fire on the bypass track and also carried fuel. And this morning, Russian media reported that it was a sabotage. On November 30, unknown persons blew up a freight train in the North Sea tunnel consisting of 50 cars, 41 tanks with diesel and 3 tanks with aviation fuel. According to the locomotive crew, during the passage of the tunnel, the tension was relieved and the train slowed down. While the members of the brigade were figuring out what was going on, heavy smoke began to appear in the tunnel. The brigade left the tunnel, leaving the train inside the tunnel. As a result of the explosion, 1 tank of the train burned out and a hole was found in 2 tanks. After the explosion, it was possible to remove 14 tanks, but further transportation of the cars is not yet possible. The explosion seriously damaged the rails and leaked fuel flooded them. Later, another train was blown up, but in the same area, 4 tanks of the train burned out. 2 more were damaged by fire. Another train was blown up in the same area. So Ukrainians really want to destroy that tunnel because through that tunnel has flown already 500,000 North Korean howitzer rounds, 500,000 rounds. And that was by November. Now it's even more. So take out that tunnel, you take out Russian artillery capacity in Ukraine because they heavily rely on North Korean shipments now, which come through that tunnel. My friends, now my favorite part of the video, which I do at the end of every video, which is butchering the Patreon names, because I'm a military channel, I'm a military blogger. Some of my videos get demonetized and I rely on patrons as a safety net. I can focus on helping Ukraine and I don't have to worry about the finances. This is why I thank these people. And now the biggest Patreon in the last month is Mikael Jötkillen. Thank you, my friend. Franklin Humboldt Bretherton. Oh my God. Philip Marsden. Mal Elvod. Sylvain Tremblay. So weird names today. Sometimes we have normal names like Bob, but this time we have weird, crazy names. Well, thank you for having such weird names and thank you for supporting the channel. You help me help Ukraine a lot more. Until my next video.